Hello, ladies and gentle cars, or gentlemen. I'm still thinking of Mater again from Cars. We are finally back after
A couple of
5 months. Five
around there.
months. And I promise we'll try and do this more frequently
Yes, of
as much
course.
as we can.
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying people like with scheduling and work. Trust me.
And also trying to get some new guests on the show.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
been
but
a hassle. It's
it's
been
been
a
a hassle.
hassle.
It's been a hassle. That's why we've reached 80 episodes, people, already in 5 years, which
Yep.
it's still a huge milestone. 80 episodes.
Yep. But of course, it's Levi and Ricky back at again, flying duo, basically, because everybody else couldn't make it.
Yeah,
But
but
we're here to talk year in review of 2023 for
oh
music
god,
and opening presents.
essence, yeah.
So, what package did the my gift come in?
It came in a USPS package.
Did it have a return address on it?
It just had your address.
Okay, well there we
Yeah.
go.
All right. So let's do this. Let's open some gifts.
Let you open yours first.
Yeah. So
And
I'm opening.
actually, let me highlight you on
Yep.
screen. Oh, hang
Nope.
on.
Nope. Wrong camera, motherfucker.
I'm trying. Let's see. Here we
There
go.
you go. So this was from Levi, which kind of shocking that you actually sent me on an USPS. Yeah, so okay. Have two
Home address.
CDs. Now, let's see if I can guess. So last year I kind of hit the freaking mark on what you got me. Knowing you and saying that you got some stuff from, was it Nuclear Blast that you
Yep.
told me? I saw their catalog and there's some couple of albums that I kind of saw that you might get me. Like Dismember. That's one. Maybe it's Obscenity because I know you've been wanting to make Crimson for the longest time. That's two. But let's see what the first one is. Ooh, Asphyx.
On the Wings of
On the
Inferno.
Wings of Inferno.
One of only 3 albums without Martin on vocals.
Ooh, so this is gonna be fucking heavy as fuck. And then the other one, let's see. Of course, the self-titled Asphyx.
You finally got them their most underrated one. And their doomiest one.
Ooh, I'm gonna have a
And
lot.
thrashiest one, too.
Thrashiest one. This one came out what in
94.
94.
So it's the follow up to Last One on Earth. And
I mean,
the first one
I
without
mean,
Martin.
Asphyx you can go wrong with Asphyx in any album actually. Well, there's one. All right, now let's see from Hannah's. So this
Yep.
one came from Season of Mist.
Same thing that I got.
Yeah, so knowing Hannah, kind of have a feeling what she got me. Then again, I don't know. Come on. Wait, I have some fucking scissors. What the fuck? There we go. Let's see. She got me 2 albums. Let's see what the first one is.
I bet they're the same as what I got.
Oh, Solstafir. More Solstafir.
Huh.
This one is Cerati Sandar. So this is one of the pretty good. And then the other one, of course, Primordial How It Ends.
Damn it.
The latest album in their discography, which might be on the list, might be not. Who knows? Find out in the debate. And yeah, that's about it.
And that's all you got?
That's all I got.
All right, and so for me, I already opened my stuff from Hannah because I wasn't sure where it came from. So open up yours. Now, I know what happened with this because you tried to get me and Raphael stuff from the same Mad Rush Media shop, but something happened and I ended up with both things. So depending on what the other two things are in here, those will be added to the giveaway that I'm going to be doing eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Since I'm almost to 4,000 subs finally, and
How
I can
much are
finally
you? How much you need?
about 10 or 11.
Come on, people, let's get them a 4,000 before they
And I
get
can
here.
give away some duplicate albums that I have. All right, let's see. I should have guessed. The fucking new Brujeria.
Well, it's the one before.
Oh, the one before from 2016?
Yeah. You need some brujeria in your life, cabrón.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Brujeria fan, but I'll take it. All right, and then we got... I don't have to actually buy it now.
Mm-hmm.
Paradise Lost Gothic.
Exactly. And the good thing about that one is the combo comes with a DVD. It's a live from back in 91. It's the same copy I have.
Actually, I mean, it feels kind of light. I don't think this doesn't say it has the DVD on it. It just has bonus tracks.
Oh, then I guess it's the... I don't know. Because the one when I opened...
Version.
Yeah, probably the standard version.
And then the other two that were duplicates. So we got Swallow the Sun, Ghosts of Lost, and The Morning Never Came.
Of course, the debut and the sophomore.
These are from Alone Records. These look like they came from Spain.
Yeah,
actually, I'm not sure where the copies of these that I got them from, if they were from Spain or not. Well, these two will be added to the 4,000 subscriber giveaway, so making the giveaway even bigger. Actually, them two Asphyx albums I got you were going to be in that giveaway, but then I thought, you know what? Ricky needs more Asphyx, so I'm going to give him 2 hidden gems.
I know. So now I have 4 Asphyx. I have, of course, those 2. Of course, Last One on Earth. And
Necrocerus.
Mm-hmm.
Necrocerus.
Yep. So one step closer for that 400 mark with me. I'm close to 400 now.
Mm-hmm. But with all that said, let's talk this year in metal.
So, God. My God.
I mean, I think safe to say this was the year of death metal.
Oh yeah,
even progressive death metal too. Mm-hmm. More in the sense of like you're hearing upcoming death metal bands start to explore prog more, like Tomb Mold and of course Horrendous, even Carnation getting a bit proggy. So it was like the year of experimenting within death metal.
Yeah,
and of course most of the big time death metal legends put out albums this year, like Cannibal Corpse, Cryptopsy, The Return of Suffocation, Dying Obituary, Incantation.
Yeah, this year has been also a year of comebacks. Well, not really comebacks, but really, really good fucking albums and tours. I mean, my God. I mean, I got to say, I fucking saw Cannibal Corpse finally after so many years. Met Alex. You know, which I know this motherfucker's hating. That actually met Alex.
Hey, maybe I might if I can go to the Amon Amarth Cannibal Corpse Obituary Frozen Soul tour next year.
Oh my! I might go too. I haven't bought my ticket yet, but I'm still thinking. But the second time's the charm for all the bands except for Frozen Soul. I have not seen Frozen Soul.
It'd be your first time seeing your fellow Texans.
Yep, exactly. So it's about time I have to see them. I've been wanting to see them for the longest time, but dude, they're from fucking Dallas.
You're gonna hear Cold Thrower.
If you don't get it, people, you're in the wrong place.
Exactly.
But let's see what else happened this year. There's a lot.
Well, it was also with tours. Gojira and Mastodon.
Yeah,
that was the year.
Mm-hmm. That was a big tour.
Got to see the first show on their second leg of the tour the day after my birthday, where I got this hat.
Yeah. Capitation with Immolation. That was another big tour.
Sang with Sugabog and Castrator.
Again, sing with Sigabop. Sing 5 times. Sing with Sigabop. Sing with Sigabop. Yeah.
Segwa Suckabog, Segwa Suckabog, Segwa Suckabog, Segwa Suckabog, so I give some. Ah, damn it! I almost did it.
But this year's been so many great tours, so many bands, man. Like I wish I had more time to go to concerts, but you know, gotta pay the bills, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What else? What else has happened? Of course, the collections kept growing. Yours is growing. Mine is growing exponentially. Which no surprise there, people. Uh, I mean, that's about it that I can think of, because thrash this year was
somewhat
really
quiet.
somewhat quiet.
It was mostly a lot of blackened thrash that was coming up. Not as much classic thrash.
Black metal wasn't really. They didn't release
Black metal was actually pretty solid this year. Actually, pretty solid. But mostly bands I'd never heard of, like Lumen Ad Mortem and Malice Divine, even though they're more mellow death than black metal.
Doom metal, of course.
Shooter returning after 8 years, putting out something. Doom was kind of quiet this year.
Doom quiet.
But yeah, this year was mostly about death metal, really.
Mm-hmm.
And to some extent, classic heavy metal too.
Yeah, and a couple of, like I said, some bands have released albums in close to 5 years, released albums, which
longer.
Or longer. I know next year, but we'll talk about it after we do our list. We're gonna talk about what's gonna happen next year, which, my God, next year is gonna be huge.
Even for the first few months, it's gonna be big.
Mm-hmm. But
big has a hard dick.
But let's get into our list. I don't know if you want to do our list first, or want me to do Raphael's and Hannah's list.
Why don't we go ahead and do actually?
Or you want to do bosses first?
I'll do bosses first. I gotta
All right.
get on my Discord
Mm-hmm.
to pull up his. All right, Discord, you better load this time, you slow son of a bitch.
You been having problems? Discord? I haven't had problems.
Yeah, I had problems last night. All right, here we are. So, his honorable mentions, he had Frozen Souls, Glacial Domination, Incantations, Unholy Deification, Shooter, Helvier, Crypta, Shades of Sorrow, and Obituary, Dying of Everything. For his top 10, he had at number 10, Enslaved Heimdall, 9, Autopsy, Ashes, Organs, Blood, and Crypts.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, Metal Church, Congregation of Annihilation. It was okay. 7, Suffocation, Hymns from the Apocrypha. 6, Raven, All Hell's Breaking Loose.
Another album didn't have the chance to listen.
5, Vomitory, All Heads Are Gonna Roll. 4, Enforced War Remains. 3, Cannibal Corpse, Chaos Horrific. 2, Cattle Decapitation, Terracite. And number 1, Hell Ripper, Warlock, Scrim, and Withered Hags.
That's a pretty solid list.
All right, so for Arthur, we know his only
number
one is Insomnium.
Which is kind of obvious because we were thinking him like it was. I mean, I kind of figured because that was more historically accuracy, but I'll talk about it when I mention that album on my list. With Hannah's, actually with Raphael's list, an honorable mention, he had Incantation, Holy Deification. He had Pierce the Veil, The Jaws of Life, even though I'm not even Pierce the Veil fan,
I'm not a Pierce the Veil fan at all.
I tried listening to them. Something my brain couldn't just say no. And of course, he had Vile Valo Neon Nori, which I'll talk about it when I get to my list. He's top 10. At number 10, he had Baby Metal, The Other One. Number 9, Godsmack, Lighting Up the Sky. I heard it was a good album, but being the last couple of releases from Godsmack weren't the greatest,
Well, When Legends Rise, no.
The
1000 Horsepower was good.
Number 8, Code Orange, The Above.
I heard mixed feelings about that. Like, some people thought it was great, and then others thought it was just way too schizophrenic.
Yeah. Number 7, Queen of the Stone Age with New Romance.
I heard that one was great,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's not
Yeah.
metal.
Number 6, Slipknot, the Adrel EP, which I think they released that song with a couple of other singles, maybe unreleased tracks, if my memory serves correct. But number 5, Ghost, Phantomony, of course, the EP they released. Of course, we cannot mention Ghost, but it'll be an album of the year list. Number 4, Metal Church Congregation. Again,
Of Annihilation.
another Love to Metal Church. Number 3, Power Wolf Interludium, which I think that's a live album. Or it was a compilation album. I don't remember which one it was.
Sounds like it was a compilation.
Number 2, which is a band you've been having trouble with, Sleep Token, Take Me Back to Eden.
Oh, dear Lord. Raphael, we're going to have a talk.
Now, in Raphael's defense with Sleep Token, I kind of see why people are in the hype. I kind of listen.
I don't. I don't get it at all.
I mean, maybe it's because Sleep Token has some electronica, maybe kind of new wave-ish. Not new wave, but like same. I like sort of around that realm, and I've been kind of beginning into that kind of music as of late, mostly with synthwave and dark wave. But I don't know. I mean, hey, we all have different tastes, and of course, his number 1, Avatar, Dance Devil Dance. Yeah. Well, like I said, and let's go to Hannah's list, which she actually sent it to me this morning. And she was going to be a part of, but she couldn't because she had to do some other stuff, which, hopefully another time. So, of course, being Hannah, she has a lot of honorable mentions, so people strap the fuck up. Ahab, The Coral Tombs, which that was a good album. The Ahab album, pretty great. Black Braid with Black Braid 2. Dogheim Sensgrad, Black Medium Current, some...
Oh, Dod Heemsgaard.
Yeah, Dom Heemsgaard or Dom Hinsgrad.
Which was originally a Fenris project.
Lamp of Murmur with Saturnian Bloodstorm. Actually, no. And then Mansian with Second Death. Mind Wayfarer with Fiore Walze. Maybe that's how I pronounce it. Sorry, my German's not really the greatest. Primordial, How It Ends. Of course, Primordial had to be in her list. Tai Cataflaque with Alford. It's in my honorable mentions as well. Urfast with Untergang. And Trespasser with Alokaive. Okay, that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. Might be from... Maybe, but of course, that's her honorable mentions. And of course, top 10 at number 10, None with Inevitable, which I'll talk about that when I get my list, which, my God, that's a good album. Number 9, Orbit Culture with Descent. Number 8, Sulfur Aeon with 7 Crowns and 7 Seals.
Yes.
Yep. 7, Aura with Trade 3 Nyx. 6, Austere with Corrosion of Hearts. Number 5, Rome with Gates of Europe, which that's one good ass album. I had the chance to listen to it a couple of days ago. Number 4, Mefrash with Calles de A, another great album. Number 3, Anti-Rish Expedition 2 Die Passage. Number 2, which is shocking, she had this at number 2. I thought it was going to be her number 1. Panopticon, The Rhyme of Memory. And number 1, Wayfarer, American Gothic.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm surprised she had... knowing her, I think she was going to have those two the other way around, like Wayfarer number 2 and Panopticon number 1, since she's a huge Panopticon fan.
And that was a great album.
Oh, yeah, it was a great album. Of course, nothing comes close to Kentucky, but,
I don't know. I feel like Panopticon's getting heavier and like more death metal than black metal now.
A bit of a hybrid, if you can say so.
Atmospheric blackened death folk.
Oh god, another sub genre.
Micro genre to make it easier.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Yeah.
All right, well, now for our list, and I
Mhm.
shall begin this. So, of course, most people who are watching this right now have probably already seen my top 40 list I made. Ricky, though, hasn't because of this episode. So, some honorable mentions. So, I'm going to kind of go all over the map.
Mhm.
So, Metallica 72 Seasons, I had as an honorable mention on that video. Good, but it's not one I've gone back to a whole lot, really, at all, apart from a couple of songs. It's better than a lot of people are giving it credit for, I will say that. Like, stop letting your biased hatred get in the way of appreciating some good riffs. Just saying. We had, for other honorable mentions, Cryptopsy as Gamora Burns. Really good return after 11 years since their last full length, even though they've done 2 EPs in between. Still getting used to Matt on vocals. I still am one of those Cryptopsy fans that loves Lord Worm because he's just such a feral junkyard dog of a vocalist. Other ones, Cannibal Corpse, Chaos Horrific, Cow Decapitation Terracite, Overkill Scorched.
That was a good one.
Yep. On Thorns I Lay, self-titled.
Yes.
And Rise to the Skies, 2 Years of Grief. And Autopsy, of course. And then the last two honorable mentions I'll bring up. Ulthar with Anthronomicon and Helionomicon. Basically, if you want to know what it would sound like if Dark Throne and Blood Incantation had a baby, Ulthar is the band.
A fucked up baby.
Yeah, all about Lovecraft and shit.
But then again, who will be the mother, who will be the father? Because Fenris, I see him more as an uncle.
Yeah, that is, yeah. But now on to the actual list. So I actually have CD copies for all but one of my top 10. And the only reason why I don't have the one is because I'm probably going to end up having to pay $40 in Germany for it. So it's going to be fucking budget killer. But anyways, starting off at my number 10, probably the most controversial album on my list, To Mold the Enduring Spirit. The reason I say this is controversial is because this album has been very divisive amongst fans because they decided to experiment with prog on here, especially on the title track, which is 11 plus minutes. It's still heavy and brutal. It's still To Mold. It's just they're experimenting with a little more melody and more songwriting chops, especially on that title track. And when I say prog, I mean in the vein of Cynic and Atheist type prog, where it's jazzy and chaotic. But this is still To Mold at its core. They're just wanting to branch out. And also, Arthur Risk has been everywhere when it came to production. Actually, another honorable mention, even though I didn't include it in my top 40 list because it was a re-recording, Cavalera's Morbid Visions. Because it's a re-recording, but it's an incredible re-recording. Thank you, Arthur Risk.
Yeah, like honestly, that Morbid Visions re-recording better than the
much
original.
Better than the original, even though I still love the original.
I still love that raw, muddy production.
Even though the only issue is the guitars were out of tune at times.
It has a flair to it. I mean, it was Sepultura's humble beginnings.
Yeah,
you know.
I still need to get the re-recording of Bestial Devastation at some point.
Which another thing, Sepultura is gonna end it next year after 40 years.
And to be honest with you, Matt, after that's done, Max should swipe the name out and revamp it just with him and Igor.
I mean, maybe I'm saying this right now, but come on, they're gonna bring him back onto their last tour.
It's not happening, unfortunately.
I mean, hell has frozen over in wrestling.
Yeah, but that's wrestling. That's
I know, but
as cool as it would be if Igor and Max did do like one show. It's not happening because of the issues they have with Andreas and
yeah,
Paulo.
yeah. But hey,
Honestly, if I were Max and Igor after the tour for Sepultura is over, sneak up from behind and take the name back because
because
I'm one of those people that still thinks Sepultura isn't Sepultura without the Cavaleras. I'm
mhm.
sorry. No
like
disrespect to Derek Green, he's a good singer, and Quadra and Machine Messiah were great. It's not Sepultura.
yeah, but it's
But
Sepultura.
but anyways, so Tomb Mold at my number 10. Number 9, finally listened to this band for the first time in terms of a full album. Neobliviscaris Exil.
Oh, yes.
Prog death metal mastery right here. Like, this is beyond songwriting. This is just musical composition right here. And of course, I love the dual vocalists with I forget the name of the vocalist who does the screams and growls, but Tim Charles doing those cleans and playing violin too. Such a great singer. Like, he's sounds like a hybrid of Daniel Tompkins from Tesseract, Geddy Lee, and even James LaBrie. So he's got that higher register, but he doesn't force it like a certain someone from a certain band. Versatile Periphery. I'm
Ooh.
sorry. Where did that come from? Fuck Periphery and Spencer. You go to hell and you die. But no, with Neobliviscaris, like, it's only 6 tracks, but wow, is it packed with beautiful songwriting. Granted, at times the bass can overpower the guitars, but man, it's worth hearing the bass just flare on here. Basically, if you love Opeth, Enslaved, I would dare I say
Maybe
Dream Theater.
Dream Theater, maybe some Edge of Sanity in there too.
Yeah, maybe even Cynic, kind of like a hybrid of those.
Yeah.
You will love Neobliviscaris from Australia.
Come on, Opeth, we need a tour with Neobliviscaris.
And Enslaved.
Oh god.
But anyways, so that's my number 9. My number 8, the one album I don't have in the collection right now, and it's probably going to cost me a chunk of money, Sulphur Aeon, 7 Crowns and 7 Seals. Because basically, if you're a Behemoth fan that's been craving good Behemoth, check out
Post Satanist, pretty much.
Post Satanist, check out Sulphur Aeon because it's blackened death metal with some elements of prog once again, and basically one of the most horrifying albums because it's Cthulhu Lovecraft worship, pretty much. It's pretty much everything Lovecraft and Cthulhu wrapped into one disturbing listen. It's heavy yet melodic and epic at times. Basically, it blows anything Behemoth has done after the Satanist completely out of water. And if you say I loved you at your darkest and Opus Contra Natrum is better, you're wrong.
Trust me, seeing Behemoth live, listen to that album. I'm sorry, I love Behemoth, but that album blows those 2 albums like that. If Behemoth would have gone that route, like prog, a bit proggy, but still keeping that heaviness, I would have loved those 2 albums more, even though I have in the collection.
I do too, and they're good, but they're just
good
nowhere
albums.
near the level of what Behemoth was before.
Again,
and it's like Sulphur Aeon saw what was going on and like, let's just steal the torch from them and carry it on.
Well, Behemoth, if you need a co-headliner or an opening band, that's your
Sulphur
band.
Aeon.
Sulphur Aeon.
But basically, if I were to categorize Sulphur Aeon or like give them comparisons, think of them as a hybrid. This unholy hybrid of Behemoth, Immolation, Morbid Angel, Nile, 1914, and Garia.
Like honestly,
you're in for
if you haven't heard of this band, listen to that album Liv I just mentioned. It will make you a fan. It made me a
Hell,
fan.
even the album before the Scythe of Cosmic Chaos, which Necrotic Nick turned me on to. So there's that. That is my number 8. Now back to the ones that I have. Number 7, Dying Fetus, Make Them Beg for Death.
I love that album. I love the album cover. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, there's the cover for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, brutal tech death with lots of catchiness on here. I mean, Dying Fetus just continue to be, arguably after Bolt Thrower, Death, and Immolation, the most consistent death metal band going today. Like, there's no bad albums from them. This might be among their best in terms of like the last decade or so. I don't know. Last two prior to this, Reign Supreme and Wrong One to Fuck With are great. This one's just on that same level. And especially because these fucking breakdowns, so catchy and catchy riffs, but yet crazy guitars. And still am not used to John Gallagher having long hair and a big beard after so many years of just having the goatee and bald. But still, fantastic album. I can't wait for whatever comes next.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, Enforced War Remains. I think at this point, they're not a crossover thrash band anymore. They're just a straight up thrash band at this point because they've gotten more brutal, they've gotten heavier. This almost feels like, it's almost like Enforced have taken the torch from where Power Trip left off, and have made it more brutal sounding to some degree. After all, I think if I remember right, Arthur Risk produces this as well, and also the frontman sounds pretty close to Riley. But it's like you get lots of Metallica and especially Slayer on here. Like Mercy Killing Fields, Ultraviolence. It's just an onslaught. My number 6. My number 5, Enslaved Heimdall.
One of the most beautiful albums of the year. Beauty is just one of many words you can describe this album.
Oh, yeah. And yet epic, heavy. They even get thrashy at certain points. But the vocals, whether it be Gertlay's snarl or the cleans, they're wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Prog black metal done perfectly. Right here. My number 4, my favorite traditional thrash album of the year, Mesro Summon Thy Demons. First album in 33 years since their debut, then came to Killing, and this was a band I hadn't heard of until seeing this on Metal Archives. Holy shit. Heavy, yet there's great hooks on here. Basically, if you are a fan of Bay Area thrash, particularly Metallica and Testament, you will love this. This sounds like the perfect blend of Metallica and Testament.
Even that album cover's metal as fuck. Just look at it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That looks like the spawn of Cthulhu coming out of his asshole.
That album cover reminds me a bit of World of Worlds in a way. If you think about it, when they're coming in from the sky, landing on Earth, and just wreaking havoc.
Yeah. But yeah, that is my number 4. Number 3, Suffocation Hymns from the Apocrypha. The return, the long-awaited return after 6 years for Suffocation. And yeah, granted, the first one without Frank, you got Ricky Myers now on vocals. Even though Frank does appear on the re-recording of Ignorant Deprivation at the end of the album, fucking Ricky does a fantastic job. He sounds closer to old school Frank, like Effigy of the Forgotten and Breeding the Spawn, but he still sounds like a different vocalist. But just great production. I will say it, this is the best Suffocation album since Pierced from Within. Even though the self-titled was really good and Pinnacle of Bedlam was fantastic, this, I think, blows those two albums out of the water. Amazing. Especially the song Seraphim Enslavement. Oh, awesome. My number 2, continuing the trend of death metal going prog, Horrendous, Ontological Mysterium. Short album, it's only a little over 30 minutes, but man, Horrendous just know how to come up with some really cool songs, especially Preterition Hymn. Beautiful, almost like classic heavy metal solo and melody going on. But yeah, it's like this album is just all over the map, but in a great way. And I thought their last album, Idol, was fantastic, which it is. This might be the best Horrendous album yet. And also, this album cover is pretty insane.
Yeah, that looks like something you find in like the depths of hell.
Mm-hmm.
Because it looks like a skull in one of the sides, like a little demon on the other side, and the middle.
The skull and the other side and in the middle looks like half of a skull vomiting.
Skull vomiting. Hey, that's the name of a band. Some people get it.
Skull vomit.
Skull vomit.
And then that only leaves us with one number one. Of course, Ricky knows what it's probably going to be. It's Hell Ripper, Warlock Scrim, and Withered Hags. I've basically jacked off this album enough, so I'll just spare you the details. Basically, if you love...
Easy there, Seabiscuit. Easy there.
Don't tell me... You're not going to tell me you haven't jacked off to this album, haven't you? Don't lie to me. You know you've done it. You know you've done it.
Not in that way.
I'm not saying it's in that way either.
Anyways, continue.
But again, I've basically talked about this album to death. To spare you the details, if you love black metal, thrash, speed, and classic heavy metal, this is the album for you. Even that final track, prog, but yet still raw. James, I salute you. Fucking amazing. I hope you come to the States in 2024.
2025.
I would love to see you guys come here live, and I'll be there. But yeah, Hell Ripper. Okay, Ricky.
All right, so I'll start with my honorable mentions. I have a couple honorable mentions. So, Obituary, Dying of Everything, was originally going to be in the list. Of course, saw Obituary live last year. Of course, I had to mention him. Again, one of the most consistent death metal bands still going on. And there are rumors that they might be already starting to think of ideas for the next album in the next maybe 2 years. So I'm excited for that. But
and of course, they're going to be going on tour with Frozen Soul, Cannibal Corpse, and Amon Amarth this coming spring.
Which Levi and I might go see them. Maybe.
Yeah, I got to look at the ticket prices and figure out like how I can stay there past the shows and see if I can meet anybody.
I mean, I looked at my ticket prices. They're like $50 for 4 bands, which is not bad.
That's actually great.
That's not bad. But anyway, another honorable mention, Ikeria with Adre. Now, Ikeria is a Spanish death doom band from somewhere in Milan, Spain. I think that's around there. And they have a sound that's so daunting and horrifying that the lyrics are in Spanish. If you understand the lyrics, you understand the music, but the music's so depressing. I mean, it's still death doom, but they find a way to make it so depressing but beautiful. And I know these guys, this is like their debut album, so I cannot wait for what they're gonna release next. So if you haven't heard of Ikeria, listen to them. They're gonna be fucking amazing. And of course, Arde is arde, which is burn in Spanish. So in other words, they're burning themselves. Avenged Sevenfold, Life is But a Dream. I'm shocked you didn't have that in your top 10.
Well, the reason why is because I still am not sure what to really think of it at this point.
I mean, I do see the argument that it's the weirdest.
It is the weirdest album, and it is their most ambitious. But it's like, I might as well go into detail.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone back to it a few times, mainly for a few songs. Like, I think the first half is pretty good. Mm-hmm. Because it sounds closer to what you would expect from Avenged Sevenfold, but with all these twists and turns that you didn't see coming. But it's the second half that kind of makes it go down, because it's like you get weird auto-tuning on a couple of songs, and like the song G should have been an instrumental, no vocals, because it sounded like Red Hot Chili Peppers meets Rush, and then Ordinary. I'll admit that's a catchy Daft Punk Red Hot Chili Peppers kind of hybrid. Even though I wish no auto tune happened. And then the song Death, you get like almost like Isaac Hayes lounge music, and the title track, this beautiful piano piece. But yeah, it's just like, if only like the songs were longer where they could have expanded on the heavier parts more, it might have gone up. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's their worst album.
It's
not. But it is still near the bottom, because it's like, yeah, I agree now with what Nick was saying. It's like a lot of these songs just don't have a lot of room to breathe before it just hops in one section. It's like, yeah, maybe a little seasoning on these songs. Like, hey, maybe a horn section here wouldn't be bad. No, the full fucking orchestra.
I mean, it's their most ambitious album, and I do give them credit for going that route.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Even the worst Avenged Sevenfold album is still good.
Decent.
Yeah. Another honorable mention, Metallica, 72 Seasons. It was like 6 years since they released Hardwire, 7 years?
6.5.
So I was really hyped about 72 Seasons. When they released Lux Eterna, I was like, yes, this is going to be a great album. Then the album came. I actually got this copy on Target on release day, which is shocking they had it on release day. So I jammed it, and I know some people give them a lot of shit, but it's still a pretty good album. Granted, I kind of...
It does. They need to trim down these songs.
I kind of have gone back and listened to Hardwire more than 72 Seasons.
Yeah.
Because Hardwire was just like song after song, hit after hit. And with this one, you have a couple of great songs like Lux Eternal, the title track,
Screaming Suicide,
You
Must Burn, Inamorata.
Oh, yeah. Closer. Yeah.
Unintentionally making one of the best stoner metal songs.
Yeah. It's still a great album. Granted, where would I rank this if I would have redo my album list again for Metallica? Probably...
It'd be above Load and Reload, but below Hardwired and Death Magnetic.
Probably around there. Honestly, yeah. So that's one of my honorable mentions. Another honorable mention, Frozen Soul, of course. Glacial Domination. Of course, I have to support these guys because they're from Texas. Again, mind blown from these guys, and I cannot wait for the future because these guys, they're so young, they're like our age, and my God, to create a beast of an album already in their short career, Jesus fucking Christ! From the title track to Death and Glory, probably my favorite song of the album. Atomic Winter, Invisible Tormentor. Even the fucking album cover is fucking brutal. Come on, people. Saturnus, The Storm Within, another
good one.
Another great Death Doom album of the year. Again, I wish I could have added to the list, but you know. Taika Flacke with Alford, another weird band that Hannah and I've been kind of loving more, but still great album. Incantation, Unholy Defecation. My God, that was a heavy, brutal ass album.
That one's kind of divisive too. Like there are some people that just are like can't get into it. It's like, what? It's great.
It's great.
It's an Incantation album.
Yeah. Soen with Memorial. I really enjoy that album so much.
Okay.
Let me guess. Let me guess. Say one more commercial.
Well, okay. I feel like Nick and John got into my head a little bit because they chat on that album so much, and it's like, I'm just gonna say it. I was thinking about just seeing myself out and just being like, no, it's still good, but. Yes, they've gone more commercial, but even at that, it's better than most commercial albums out there.
Exactly. Like, I'm not saying
there's still heavy riffs. There's still heavy fucking riffs, and it doesn't sound generic.
I'm not saying it's better than Memorial, but it's...
Or you mean Imperial?
Imperial, but it's still
Imperial was awesome.
Imperial was amazing. Most of them honorable mentions. The last two, Black Pumas with Chronicles of a Diamond. Not really metal, more of the kind of rock area, R&B kind of thing, which is still fucking good. And of course, the last honorable mention, On Taurus and Lay, with the self-title On Taurus and Lay. I really got into On Taurus and Lay when they released Threnos, which that was a huge album
That
for
made
me.
my list.
That made my list when that, I think I had it at number 2 when that happened. But On Taurus and Lay, another amazing album. Sadly, it didn't make the cut because there were some other albums that I thought were better this year. But let's get into my top 10. So at number 10 is an album Nick and I kind of bonded. Of course, I'm talking about Crosses with Good Night, God Bless, I Love You, Delete. Of course, this is Chino's side project from Deftones. And like I kind of mentioned before, maybe I've been getting more into like dark wave, synthwave kind of music. And this album has some heavy riffs. Pretty much the only way I can describe it is listen to the album with your significant other and you have them ready to go on your bed. That's like the best way I can describe it. It's like music to fuck with. Which I'm not confirming nor denying. I've done that. Just saying. But it's still an amazing album. Heavy riffs. Even though it's not really metal, it's still heavy in that kind of weird spectrum around there. Kind of like in the metal, but not really. But if you haven't listened to it, give it a listen. At number 9, which you need to get the album right here, Cow Decapitation with Terracite. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Terracite was a bit of a letdown, honestly.
Tiny bit.
A tiny letdown.
It's hard to follow an album like Death Atlas.
Exactly, because Death Atlas was such a huge album that I was expecting sort of the same thing with Terracite. When they released the first single, which was We Eat Our Young, I was like, okay, I'm on board. I'm on board with this album. And they actually sang the song when I saw them last year. So, again, kind of made me want to get the album when they will release it. And then they mentioned that this album is sort of a continuation from Death Atlas in a way. Kind of like a two-parter kind of thing. Kind of what happens after, the world ends and all that. When the cockroaches rise up. I mean, fucking, looks like fucking from Bug's Life.
Hopper with dick skin.
I mean, the guys do amazing songs, and The World Will Go With You, amazing. Just Another Body. Of course, they got to end with a big, long song.
10 minutes, their longest song they've ever done. I still love a Photic Doom. Those fucking vocals from Travis, Jesus Christ.
I know, man. Again, I've seen Travis. Fuck, man. He's in his late 40s.
You've seen Travis fuck? What is wrong with you?
No, not that. Like, I've seen him live, and my God, can't believe he's like in his mid-40s, close to 50s. He still can fucking go at it. Like, my God, this dude is inhuman. He's not human. He's a fucking bug.
He's the human version of Smeagol or Gollum.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because of the goblin vocals.
I mean, then again, when I did see him live, he was doing the goblin vocals and walking like.
Actually, let me see. Since I'm home alone right now, let's see if I can do a version of it.
Oh God!
A living, breathing pace of defecating meat. I know it was bad.
No.
Whatever. Continue.
My number 8, Primordial, How It Ends. Of course, my history of Primordial has been well documented in this podcast. So when they announced that they were going to release a brand new album, of course, I was full-on fanboying because, when it's Primordial to the Nameless Dead, of course, that album still has an impact on me. And every single album they released afterwards and before that, fucking amazing. So my hype for the album was really, really up the charts. And when I listened to it, at first, it kind of, I gotta say, it's long. It's a long album. It's like an hour and a half, close to an hour and a half minutes around there. But maybe because I'm a history nerd, I kind of know the references of what they're talking about. Like, one of the songs that I kind of really liked was which one was it? All Against All. I really liked that track. There was another one that kind of like We Shall Not Serve. That kind of reminded me a bit of Rome Burns in a way, but still, it's fucking Primordial. And another band that I hope they come to the States. It's been like close to like 10 years.
Well, oh god. Well, they are coming to the States for Maryland Death Fest in May.
Well, yeah, but I hope they
I think they're one of the headliners too.
I think they are, but hopefully they do that into a tour. Especially they come here in Texas. I would love to see Primordial and meet Alan and be like, I was a religious man. But, Primordial, it's an amazing album. Give it a listen. You're going to love it. At number 7, this is the only one? Yeah, the only black metal album in my list. None Inevitable. So, None is a 2-man or 1-man depressive, suicidal black metal project from Canada. And when they so when a couple of years ago, when they released their previous album, which I'm trying to remember, I know I have it in the collection, The Damn Chill Live, back in 2020, I got into these guys. And I thought that was an amazing album. But this one, I feel that this one's more depressing. I feel that their songwriting they actually became better songwriters. They actually expanded more their sound. And if you're this song, I recommend listen to the final track, which is Rest. That song, if you're a big fan of like ambitious black metal, melodic black metal, depressive black metal, it all combines together and create this epic song of proportions that kind of share a tear, to me personally. And, listen to this. I mean, even the album cover makes you want to think it's kind of depressing. Sort of. Number 6. Of course, I had to put these guys on the list. Brujería, esto es brujería. I had the opportunity
Cocaína!
I had to see the opportunity to see Brujería this year in their 30th anniversary for Matando Güeros. Met fucking Juan Brujo. Met fucking Pinche Peach. And I was really excited for the new album. And it's your typical Brujería. I mean, talks about drugs happening in Mexico, the cartel,
Satanism.
Things happen to the border. Pretty much your typical Brujería album, and it's
one of the funniest cover songs I've ever heard, where they cover Eric Clapton's Cocaine, but they call it Cocaína.
Oh yeah, and this has been their first album in close to 9 years, 8 years,
7 years,
around there. Because no, but is it 6 years? 26?
7.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah, so close to 7 years. So it's been a long time since we had a brand new Brujería album. And in between, they released kind of singles there and there. But me being a big Brujería fan, understanding them, of course, I was going to get into them. And again, if you like brutality in metal, kind of grindcore-ish, even though they're more into the death metal stuff.
Groovy death grind.
Yeah, in a way. You're gonna fucking love Brujería, especially if you can understand the lyrics, which I hope this motherfucker understands the fucking lyrics.
Not a snowball's chance of that happening.
Yeah, I know.
I think I'll probably might understand German more than I will Spanish.
True, but it's Brujería, cabrones. Listen to them, bitches.
Cocaína.
Top 5. So at number 5. Rise to the Sky with 2 Years of Grief. Now, I'm a bit sad that this is the last Rise to the Sky album that Sergio's going to be releasing
for a while.
Because he has other projects like Sorrow another Depressive Soul black metal project. Has his own record label now, so kind of happy for Sergio for actually, for that. But Rise to the Sky, 2 Years of Grief ends this story that he had since his father passed away, like, was it 2 years ago? So it was kind of fitting that 2 Years of Grief would culminate into this album. And I've said this a million times about Rise to the Sky, a perfect example of a death doom, melodic death doom at its finest. Like, I'm not saying it's close to Swallow Sun or close to like My Dying Bride, but
early Catatonia
or even Catatonia. But Rise to the Sky, an album like that, is an experience that you give it a listen and you might miss it, but you listen to it again, you might like see other stuff you didn't listen before. Like, it took me 3 listens to listen to the Rise to the Sky album in its entirety, because there was something I missed the previous times, and there was something that I found out new. But also, man, like, again, Sergio has like some of the best. I don't know how he does it, man. Like, he has great songwriting. He has the guitar. I mean, everything combines together. And again, this is from a one-man project.
Doing everything.
Vocals, drums, bass, guitar, lyrics.
Production.
Even production. So, again, kudos to Sergio for going above it and beyond and giving us, hopefully not the last Rise to the Sky album ever. I really want him to release more albums, and I need to get this one in the collection eventually. But,
I need to get any Rise to the Sky in the collection.
You need to get them. I mean, he has them all at Bandcamp except for the debut album and the EP. But, for the time that I discovered Rise to the Sky, which was like back in 2020, to right now, one of my favorite death doom band projects, next to Swallow Sun and Catatonia and My Dying Bride. Number 4, of course, Cannibal Corpse, Chaos, Horrific. The long-awaited follow-up to Unimaginable.
Well, only 2 years.
Well, I know, but still, it's Cannibal Corpse, people. What more can I say hasn't been said before? I mean, and I had the opportunity to see them live, and they sang some of the songs. Chaos Horrific. They sang Bloodblind, Selling for Sacrifice. I wish you could have sang Drain You Empty, because that was a Death Doom song, close to Death Doom song, because they went slower on the tempo. But, the guys, they're in their, like, 50s, close to 60s.
Early 50s.
And they still kick fucking ass. I mean, to the point I fucking got vertigo a couple of days after I saw Cannibal Corpse. You know how that fucking heavy that is. And, of course, I got the signed copy from all the band members, including Eric Tang, for, like, $25, which might be a bit expensive, but it's $25. It's, at least I didn't pay like $100 for like a CD I could find on eBay, which but it's kind of Corpse, people. What more can I say? It's a fucking amazing album. All right, top 3. Now this is where the dance began. So my top 3 albums. These are the 3 albums I listened to the most this year, and I had to sort of analyze all 3 albums to kind of see who was going to take the crown. At number 3, who takes the bronze for this year, Vili Valo, Neon Noise. I don't need to say how much of a big him fan I am. So when Vili Valo released the Gothica Fanatica Epica EP back in 2020, in March 2020, the world somehow, somewhere, automatically seemed a bit of light after what happened with, of course, the pandemic and the shutdown. So for that long time, those 3 songs were like saving grace for me. And a lot of fans like myself were like, is he gonna release an album eventually? It took him 3 years, but eventually we got this album. And of course, those 3 songs are included in the album. Great songs like Internodia, the title track, Baby Lacrimium, Vertigo Eyes, Ecolate Your Love. And around the same time they released the album, he announced a tour. And of course, I went and saw Ville Valo live, one of my idols. After so many years, I finally saw him live, and an experience unlike any other. I wish I could have met the man and had him sign my Greatest Love Song CD, but couldn't happen. But for it being a him fan and this being his first solo album after him broke up back in 2012, 2014? Yeah, 2014. After that many years, still having that same passion he had in music when he was in his 20s to now being in his early 50s, late 40s. It's still amazing to me that he still has so much to tell, especially in these times. But Ville Valo, Neo Noir, amazing album. Number 2, of course, Arthur mentioned is number 1, Insomnium Año 1696. Of course, when I first heard the album name, Anno 1696, I kind of had a feeling it was going to talk about the witch trials. Because in the 1690s, it was the dawn or like somehow everyone got an agreement that was the decade of the witch trials. Of course, everyone knows the most famous witch trials, which are in Salem in 1692. But in 1696, the thing about this year was that it was one of the last years of the course, the witch trials, especially in Europe. So, being that Insomnium are finished, they kind of incorporated some of their history into the album, like they kind of do in most of their albums, and they create an amazing album. A lot of people say that this is a bit of a letdown from Hard Like a Grave. Being that Anno 696 to me is kind of there with Hard Like a Grave, even though there's some songs from Hard Like a Grave I like more than Anno 1696. Like, my favorite track is still White Christ. That was one of the first singles they released, especially since freaking the guy
from
Rotting Christ has like vocals on the album. I was like, shit, that's fucking good. God Forsaken, Lilian, The Witch Hunter. Pretty much the entire album is flawless. It's a masterpiece. If you haven't gone into Insomnium, listen to everything. They're a fucking one of those bands. They have released from perfect to solid to magnificent albums. And even the album cover, like, it looks like a bit of a peaceful, but then you kind of realize the history of the witch trials. So it's one of those things that kind of question sometimes your morals back in that era, but you know, times have changed. And of course, my number 1. It's obviously which one was number 1. Levi mentioned it, Boss mentioned it. Hell, even the guy from Banger TV have praised this album so much. Hell Ripper, Warla, Grimes, and Wither Hags. We've had James twice on the show. The first time, he talked about a bit of the album before it was being even made, about he was going to incorporate a lot of stuff, some of the history of Scotland, and a lot of stuff. And when he released the first album, The Not Gonna Leave, that music video kind of fucked me up. It was fucking scary, especially if you're a person who suffers from seizures. Which I'm not,
epilepsy.
But epilepsy, I kind of like was like, what? You're gonna end up like the Simpsons when they go to freaking Japan. Have you seen that episode? Yeah, Leva knows what I'm talking about.
Or more like whenever Peter's doing Surf and Bird, it gets that part.
Yeah, but from that music video and that song, I knew this was gonna be one hell of an album. Eye the Deceiver, fucking amazing track. Still, my favorite track is the title track because of the fucking bagpipes. When was the last time you heard a metal band use bagpipes that's not AC/DC or a folk metal band?
Or Korn.
Yeah, or Korn. When was the last time you heard bagpipes in that area? You haven't. Prison World, Master Sword Storm, The Hissing Marsh, The Curse Carrion Crown, Gold Vomit Nightmare. This is James's best work so far. I don't know if the album he's gonna release afterwards is gonna come close to it, but if it does, my fucking god. And the fact that James, our age, still released one of the best albums of the fucking year. Even the album cover is fucking brutal as fuck, man. And James, I've said this so many times. My God, man, I cannot wait for the future. I cannot wait for you to come to the stage. I really want to fucking see you guys live and meet you.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Hell the Goat, Hell Ripper.
And, well, that, ladies and gentlemen, ends the list. But now let's talk briefly for the next few minutes about what we're looking forward to for 2024. So I actually have a list of albums that are already confirmed on Metal Archives that are coming out. But as far as the big ones, right out of the gate at the end of January, we have 4 big ones. Saxon with Hellfire and Damnation.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, make this 5. Then we have Lucifer with Lucifer 5.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
We have Vitriol with Suffer and Become, which is a band I need to get into, but I hear they're like a modern-day Hate Eternal. Caligula's Horse with Charcoal Grace, which I've heard this band is like one of the big upcoming prog metal bands.
They are.
And then Blood Red Throne with Nonagon coming out at the end of the month, which so far the 2 singles have been killer. And also a little shout out to our boy Gunner, who's currently going through leukemia right now. Hence why he's not been playing live lately. But then February, we have Myrath with Karma, which that's a band that I don't think has released anything in a while. Folky prog metal. Return of Morbid Saint with Swallowed by Hell, only their 3rd album and first one in 9 years. We have The Obsessed with Gilded Sorrow. Eshan with his self-titled solo album.
Mm-hmm.
But I say, honestly, for me, the big one, Job for a Cowboy, Moon Healer. Their first one in almost 10 years since their amazing Sun Eater album, where they pretty much... It's like, it's weird with Job for a Cowboy. You know, we first heard of them as being deathcore, and they were shat on for it on their first EP. And then from the debut up until their album in 2012, they were just straight up death metal, and now they're progressive death metal, like Opeth, Obscura, that kind of hybrid. And I have yet to listen to the single they dropped for this album, but I need to, because, well, holy shit, if this album's going to be anything like Sun Eater, I'm on board. We even have a return Austrian Death Machine with Quad Brutal. Yeah, Tim Lambesis. We could say what we want about him and his dumbassery from 10 years ago, but hey, Austrian Death Machine, one of the funniest thrash bands out there, all about Arnold, yeah. So we're getting the return of that. And then for March. we have 6 big ones. Bruce Dickinson with the Mandrake Project.
His first solo album in years.
Yep. We have Sonata Arctica with Clear Cold Beyond. We have Skeletal Remains finally releasing something with Fragments of the Ageless. Dragon Force, Warp Speed Warriors. It should be fun. Necrophobic with In the Twilight Gray, which if it's anything like Dawn of the Damned, I'm on board. But of course the big one, and the biggest one so far coming out next year, Judas Priest, Invincible Shield.
That's going to be a good one.
So at least those are the ones confirmed. Now, as far as 5 albums we each want to see come out or we expect to come out, I fully expect we're going to get a New Testament album.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably, yeah, New Testament. I would personally love a new Triptychon album because it'll have been 10 years since Melana Chasmata. We're probably going to get. I would love a new Alice in Chains.
Oh yeah, that's
since
for
it's
sure.
been a while. Maybe. I don't know if we're going to get a new Morbid Angel or not.
That's an iffy one.
Honestly, I'd rather see that I Am Morbid band that David Vincent and Pete Sandoval have do something at this point. Let's see. And then a fifth one. Maybe a new Dark Throne.
I think the Dark Throne one's more probably. Now with me, Dream Theater. I think I got a recent new album.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we are getting new Dream Theater and Mike Portnoy back in the band, which that's going to be huge because that's going to help the songwriting a lot.
Of course, Swallow Sun. Even though I think it's a bit too soon for them to release an album.
No, I think it's.
I mean, it's been 2 years since Moonflowers.
Yeah, but it'd probably come out in like maybe the summer.
Probably. Maybe a new Aspects will be nice.
Perhaps.
Who else could release an album? Maybe Immolation. Another album will be nice. Even though it's been, 2 years?
It's been almost 2 years since Acts of God.
Who else could be another?
Maybe. I know we're gonna get a new Accept album.
A new Anthrax will be nice too.
Since it's been a long time since that's happened.
And another one. Maybe, well, kind of two. A new Paradise Lost and a new My Dying Bride album will be nice. Because I think it's about time we get 2 new albums for those 2 bands. Because it's been 3 years since The Ghost of Orion, and it's been
4 years.
4 years
since
Medusa. So I think it's around that time, especially Paradise Lost. Right now, doing their 30th anniversary of Icon. I'm pretty sure they're going to be singing some new songs from a new album eventually.
Oh yeah, and then of course we fully expect new Broken Hope.
I know for after what?
New what was it? I had another band that was probably possibly new Dismember.
Yeah,
especially since they're coming over to do Maryland Death Fest in May. And of course, with all the recent reissues and re-releases of their old catalog on Nuclear Blast, which I got 3 of them. So
yeah, and we're still waiting on Dan Swano's. He was gonna
re-release Moon Tower and then eventually re-release the old Nightingale stuff,
which he said it was gonna take a while.
Yeah, maybe 2024 will be the year we finally get our hands on Moon Tower.
Because my God,
he said that would be one of the first things he.
Because my God, go to Discogs and Moonflowers, dude.
Moon Tower, yeah.
Well, it's fucking expensive.
It's tough.
It's tough. I still need to get Edge of Sanity, and I need to get Crimson eventually.
And Crimson too.
Yeah, I honestly was gonna buy it, but I was like, nah, I'd rather wait after the Christmas, because I was like, what if Levi finally got me Crimson?
Well, if I'd thought harder, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah. What else? Who else could release an album next year?
Nile,
yeah. I think it's time Nile releases something.
Obscura, since it's been over 2 years.
I'm just trying to figure it out. Now. I'm trying to see a band that will be completely left field, a band that out of nowhere just hey, new album.
Oh yeah, and I forget, we're getting new Black Dahlia in 2024. Mm-hmm. Even though it's going to be odd without Trevor, but if Brian's doing a great job, then.
And I think with that album, I think there's some songs Trevor recorded before it passed. Or maybe. Something he recorded.
Or lyrics he might have had.
Yeah.
That they'll use.
Yeah.
We'll see.
trying to see here. I doubt it. It's a bit too early for a new Carcass album because there's still. It's only been 2 years since Torn Arteries.
Yeah. Oh yeah, new Opeth. It's now
yes,
been 4 years since Incauda Venom came out.
I think it's time
and it'd
for
be
a new
their
Opeth.
and it'd be their first one on Atomic Fire Records. So yeah, new Opeth.
Maybe a new Amon Mars would be that too.
I think it's too soon. It's only been a little over a year now. And besides, they're going to be so busy with that big tour this coming spring with Cannibal, Obituary, and Frozen Soul.
Now, tours for next year. What tours do we want next year?
Well, we are getting that.
We're getting
as far
that.
as like,
I don't know. I want AC/DC to tour. There's been rumors they're going to be touring next year. So the minute they announce a day in Texas, I don't fucking care where, I'm fucking going.
Even if it's all the way on the west side,
like El Paso.
Yeah,
fuck it. I mean, they're my favorite band of all time. I'll probably do it. Iron Maiden, of course, they're gonna be touring next year, but my ticket already. But bands they haven't for next year tours. Metallica might be touring again next year.
Yeah. I know there's another big tour happening next year, but no Ohio date. Pantera and Lamb of God.
Yeah, I saw those tour dates too. I think the closest for me is like Lubbock, but that's like way up north. What other bands could be touring? I'm trying to figure it out. I personally Swallow the Sun come back to the States, especially San Antonio or Houston, because lately they've been going to Austin and Dallas, and I'm like, come on, guys. I know Insomnium's touring next year. I might catch that tour. Of course, we want Hell Ripper to tour when James comes to the States. Aspects, I would love for Aspects to do a tour
in the States. I don't even know if they've ever played the States unless it was like a Maryland Death Fest or something like that.
No, I was gonna say 30th anniversary for Last One on Earth already happened.
It would be I don't even think they play anything outside of what Martin has done. Like they wouldn't play anything from self-titled God Cries or On the Wings of Inferno.
Yeah, I think they would play just Last One on Earth, The Rack,
Last One on Earth, and pretty much everything since Death the Brutal Way.
Yeah. Priest for sure they're touring next year, especially with the new album coming out. Man, trying to figure out who else could tour.
I would love to see another Immolation tour here in the States, and I can fucking go if there's an Ohio date. I would have loved to have went to the tour with Cattle Decap, but they had no Ohio date.
I would have loved for maybe Megadeth to tour too.
I've already got to see them, so
I know.
Yeah. And they got to play all the songs I wanted them to play anyway, so I'm good.
Supposedly, the rumored new band from Kerry King is gonna be touring next year.
Yeah, even though the fucking logo's a knockoff of Undertaker's symbol, just upside down.
I mean, it's Kerry King. I mean, he's gonna play like Raining Blood. He's gonna sing Angel of Death. I mean, then again, who could fucking sing that high pitch of Tamaraya? Again, kicking in the fucking balls to get that high pitch.
The closest vocalist that could do that is Schmear from Destruction. He's the closest one that can match that high note.
Unless there's
for proof, listen to the final track on the last Necrophobic album, Devil Spawn Attack. He does vocals on that song, and he does the high Tamaraya wail.
Speaking of Destruction, Sodom. I would love them to come to the States.
Well, they are coming for Maryland Death Fest, playing Agent Orange in its entirety.
So,
damn it, Nick and John, they're going to that, and I'm not. Fuck. Although, actually, I might try and attempt Full Terror Assault next year out in Cave in Rock, Illinois. It's only 6 hours away from my house along the river.
That's not bad. Who else could be touring next year?
Maybe more Agalok shows.
Yeah, more Agalog because they've been touring dates there and there.
Hell, John and Don, they were both on a live stream with Jeff from Gas Masks and Hand Grenades.
Possessed, another tour. I know they've been touring as of late, but more touring
with Nun Slaughter opening.
Man,
and maybe a new album from Possessed.
Yeah,
one that might be happening. New Atheist album. And maybe Scott Burns producing, since he came back and did a production for the Till the Dirt project, which I have yet to listen to. I need to listen to that.
That'd be interesting.
But I think we've gone long-winded on this whole thing. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this episode as far as what's coming up. We do have a feature interview scheduled with one Erica Osterhout from Mortuous, Chthonic Deity, and Acephalix. So
that's going to
be really cool.
Cool
to have the modern queen of death metal on here.
So we want to have, of course, Jeremy back again when he releases the new album.
John McEntee from Incantation. We're supposed to have Samantha from Frozen Soul.
We're still talking to maybe having Jeff from Possessed after it's done touring.
And I'm also been in talks to try and get Freddie, the drummer of Blood Red Throne, on, and maybe eventually Daniel. So that way we'd have apart from the new frontman, Sindre, which we'll probably see if we can get him on too. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and we'll try to get an episode out in the shorter time than 5 months.
Yeah.
So
maybe
but until then,
maybe every 2 weeks or so, like we used to.
If possible.
But we'll make it happen.
But anyways, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet as always.